Rough start to the year. The United States bombed Venezuela and then kidnapped their president and his wife.
How? At this era, where does this happen?
Not only did the US bomb multiple military sites in Venezuela, but we now have confirmation that the United States have kidnapped. They have gone into Venezuela and stolen their president and his wife, and they are now headed back to the United States.
So what leader? How does this happen? I don't get it. Well, let's unfold the things that might have been the cause of all this. But when at the beginning of World War III, Debbie. Meanwhile, a day before say Yakoch capture no address the television station, any media, say peace, no war, peace, no war. He's ready to, have one-on-one with the Americans to agree on something else to combat drugs, trafficking, because that is the charges Donald Trump or the charge Nicholas Maduro, just to wake up in the hands of the wrong people.
Not war, not war, not war. Just peace, just peace, just peace. No crazy, no crazy war, no crazy war.
Na ebrepe en asasem no etu Venezuela for what time exactly?
Then between 12 and 3 a.m. local time, we hear that the U.S. Army's Delta Force, which is their top counterterrorism unit, they went boots on the ground and he managed to snatch him from his own country, put him on a chopper, and then fly him to an undisclosed location.
Now, the craziest part of the whole thing, when he say, this pudopa editor, Nicolas Maduro, say, wow, benya informations. General. $50 million.
The US put $50 million for information that would lead to his arrest. Turns out, they were like, fine, we'll just do it ourselves, give ourselves the money. And just as a side note, that is the largest bounty they've put on anyone in US history before. I cannot understate how truly surreal what we have just seen. It is unprecedented in modern history.
So, finally, Donald Trump breaks silence over this capture of Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro. Yanko ti some of his speech, but in a nutshell, this banter began when President Donald Trump accused Venezuela's president for interfering into their territory for oil and that kind of stuff. And finally, banter against banter, and then boom, it has happened. It's a record. 2026. This is the world's biggest record of news. Let's listen to President Donald Trump.
At my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault, and it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolas Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time.
Really?
All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark, and it was deadly.
What?
but captured along with his wife, Celia Flores, both of whom now face American justice. Maduro and Flores have been indicted in the Southern District of New York. These highly trained warriors operating in collaboration with U.S. law enforcement caught them in a very ready position. They were waiting for us. They knew we had many ships out in the sea, just sort of waiting. They knew we were coming. So they were in a ready, what's called a ready position. But they were completely overwhelmed and very quickly incapacitated. There's no equipment like what we have. And you see that even if you just look at the boats. You know, we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by sea. 90%. Each boat kills on average, 25,000 people. We knocked out 97%. And those drugs mostly come from a place called Venezuela. We're going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. So we don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
This was an audacious operation that only the United States could do. It required the utmost of precision and integration within our joint force. And the word integration does not explain the sheer complexity of such a mission. An extraction so precise, it involved more than 150 aircraft launching across the Western Hemisphere in close coordination, all coming together in time and place to layer effects for a single purpose: to get an interdiction force into downtown Caracas while maintaining the element of tactical surprise. After months of work by our intelligence teammates to find Maduro and understand how he moved, where he lived, where he traveled, what he ate, what he wore, what were his pets, in early December, our force was set pending a series of aligned events. Key was choosing the right day to minimize the potential for civilian harm and maximize the element of surprise and minimize the harm to the indicted personnel so, as the president said, they could be brought to justice. Over the course of the night, aircraft began launching from 20 different bases on land and sea across the Western Hemisphere. In total, more than 150 aircraft, bombers, fighters, intelligence, reconnaissance, surveillance, rotary wing were in the air last night. We arrived at Maduro's compound at 1:01 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 2:01 a.m. Caracas local time, and the apprehension force descended into Maduro's compound and moved with speed, precision, and discipline towards their objective, and isolated the area to ensure the safety and security of the ground force while apprehending the indicted persons. On arrival into the target area, the helicopters came under fire, and they replied with that fire with overwhelming force in self-defense. One of our aircraft was hit but remained flyable, and as the president said earlier today, all of our aircraft came home, and that aircraft remained flyable during the rest of the mission. As the operation unfolded at the compound, our air and ground intelligence teams provided real-time updates to the ground force, ensuring those forces could safely navigate the complex environment without unnecessary risk. The force remained protected by overhead tactical aviation. Maduro and his wife, both indicted, gave up and were taken into custody by the Department of Justice, assisted by our incredible U.S. military.
Wow. That is so serious. That is so serious. So now, after everything, what next? And this is what Donald Trump got to say.
You referenced boots on the ground earlier. Can you just sort of button this up? Do you envision the U.S. military having a presence in Venezuela as the U.S. runs that country?
No, we're going to have a presence in Venezuela as it pertains to oil, because we have to have, we're sending our expertise in. So you may need something, not very much. But no, we're going to be taking out a tremendous amount of wealth out of the ground, and that wealth is going to the people of Venezuela and people from outside of Venezuela that used to be in Venezuela. And it goes also to the United States of America in the form of reimbursement for the damages caused us by that country.
Well, so this is absolutely crazy, man. Yes. So he has made it clear, say, the interest, the oil. Meanwhile, at the beginning of the whole banter, it was that President Maduro, Venezuela people, almost trafficked drug into the US, causing a lot of people to die through the drugs. Now, the whole thing turned upside down. Well, let's see what happens. We'll be bringing you an update on the grounds, how Venezuela received the information, how they reacted, and then contained themselves. But as it stands, yes, it is what it is. So you know, subscribe never can abshakono. They for world news and local news and fambre wakwama. Emerson for Zazie, aka you be the head. Me that say.
Wonderful people, my name is Akuma Mama Zimbi, and I love to read and listen to GH Celebrating News. May I say.